first thing to look at to get an understanding of your responsibilities with regard to policies is the legal requirements related to policies. And we're going to take a look at what one section of the Vermont statute says about policies and look at how to define some important terms and give some examples of how this actually works. So the section of the law which I want to refer to is Section 563. It's subsection 1 of Title 16, and if you have a 2008 edition of the Vermont Law Book, it's on page 54. Section 563 is the long section that details over 20 responsibilities of school boards, and the first on the list is the development of policy, and I just want to read a portion of what it says. It says that the school board shall develop the educational policies of the school district. Board policy shall be of general application to the district, shall be in writing, codified, and made available to the public. And it goes on to talk about how policies are adopted, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. So the first thing is to think about is, well, the board's responsibility is to adopt policies, and we need to know what we mean when we use that term. And put simply, board policies are relatively broad statements of what the board wants to have done in a certain area, and they may also include indications of how the board wants to evaluate results of the policy implementation. They also might include, and probably would include, an assignment of responsibility to an administrator or to someone to actually implement the wishes of the board. So the easy way to look at it is that a policy is a statement of what you want done, and it's not a statement of how you want it done. It should give guidance to administrators so that they know what your priorities are in a given area, and they know what their responsibilities are for carrying out those priorities. So the same section of the statutes which assigns responsibility for developing policies goes on to make a reference to procedures. And what it says is the school board may also approve or disapprove rules and regulations proposed by the principal or the superintendent for the conduct and management of the public schools in the district. So we call those procedures, and they are administrative statements, again, intended to carry out the wishes that the board has stated when it has developed a policy on a subject. And what the law says is that you may, but do not have to, approve administrative procedures that the superintendent or the principal develop. So you have options in terms of how much control you take over a given subject. But the general principle is you say what you want, and the administration goes from there to develop procedures which you may, if you want, review and approve if you feel that you need to. So I want to just take a couple of examples, and these are pretty simple examples of policies that boards will have because they're required, and they demonstrate a little bit about how this policy and procedure thing separates. So the first one is a policy on professional development of teachers. On our website, we have a number of models of policies, and one of them is a model policy on professional development. We consider our models to be ones that you can start with. They're statements, drafts of policies that you can start with that may be sufficient for you just to adopt. You certainly want to discuss them. You want to decide whether they are, in fact, what you want to be saying on a subject, but they're intended to get you started and to help you and to help administrators, resolve issues of policy development. So I've just chosen professional development as one of them. It's D2 on the website, and it's a fairly straightforward statement of policy. If you look at D2, what you'll find is that it's really, the policy itself is divided into three parts. The first part is called the policy itself, and it's simply a statement of the general priorities that the board has with regard to professional development. In the case of the model that we use, it says that it's the policy of the supervisory union, and I'll get to that in a minute, to support the connection between educator professional development and improvement of student achievement. So that's an important statement. What it says is the board wants the professional development programs that are conducted by the school district or supervisory union to connect to improving student achievement. So it's development, and it's the professional development practice of the district to stress improve student achievement, and to ensure, the policy goes on to say, that professional and paraprofessional staff acquire and maintain the knowledge and skills needed to contribute efficiently to the achievement of the goals and strategies articulated by the school's action plan. All schools are required to have action plans, which are essentially plans for improvement. And this policy says that the professional development activities of the district should be connected to the action plan as well as to goals for student achievement. So that's the first section of the policy. The second section of the policy, the model policy, is called Principles to Guide Professional Development. This is a statement list. In our model policy, there are 6 items on this list, and they state again, the priorities of the board with regard to professional development. And basically, they say, for example, the superintendent will oversee professional development that is characterized by the following, and it's a list. I'll just mention a couple of them. Its primary focus is on improved student learning and achievement. It's based on current documented research findings. We focus on content and curricular needs as well as teaching methodology. And we expect that our professional development program will be developed and directed by professional educators. That's just a few of the things on the list. If you look at the list, you'll see each one of them is a statement, again, about what the board has in the way of priorities for this system. And then finally, the third section of the policy is a short section on implementation. And this is the section where someone is assigned responsibility to do something. And in this case, our model policy says the superintendent or his or her designee, that allows the superintendent to assign this to somebody else, will base annual and multi-year professional development programs on an analysis of student performance data and best practice research and state and local standards and compliance with district action plans. So that gives the superintendent his or her marching orders, so to speak, when it comes to professional development activities. And then finally, it says that the board wants to know more about this implementation as it's ongoing. So what this model, for example, says is that the superintendent will report at least annually to the school board on the professional development programs in the district, with an emphasis on the relationship of those programs to student achievement. So what we have here is a statement of what we think is important in the area of professional development, some specificity about our priorities with regard to professional development, and then we leave it to the superintendent or somebody that he or she assigns to develop programs that are consistent with those priorities, and then we say we'd like to hear about it on an annual basis just to check on implementation. So that's one example of a school board policy that contains essentially the components that most policies will include.